My amigo Fran Monaj joins us on the pod this week. He is a dynamic, interesting, and kind entrepreneur. He'll tell us all about how he started his successful online teaching business, You Talk TV. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with this gifted guy. I hope you enjoy this week's episode of FYI. Welcome to For Your Info.
En inglés.
You got it. Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of FYI for Your Inglés, the topic-based podcast where you can learn English among other things, entre otras cosas. And today, I think this is going to be one of the most fascinating shows because, as many of you know, I've always been fascinated by business, and even, when we've talked about business in the past, I told you, how I love the concepts. I don't have an MBA, but I feel like I learned business working at my grandfather's pharmacy. So there's always been this admiration for entrepreneurs, which is the word of the day today. Entrepreneur. We're speaking French, if you didn't know, entrepreneur. And what we call the idea, the noun, that's entrepreneurship. And ladies and gentlemen, we have got an awesome guest, an entrepreneur himself, who's also an English teacher, also a rocker, somebody who wears a lot of different hats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fran Monaj.
Hey, Alberto, thank you so much. Thank you for this nice introduction. Thank you for having me here. And yes, I'm already learning with your expressions.
Cool.
It's amazing.
Cool.
It's always fun hanging out with you because it's always something to learn. And
and even if we hang out sometimes digitally, today I've got you here in the flesh.
In the flesh, and en carne y hueso, ¿no? O sea,
Yeah, I think
in the
you
flesh.
say. In the flesh. It's great to have you here with us. And as I said, we have so many things in common. We love music, we love teaching, we love learning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's key to it,
So, all right, now let's pretend I don't know who you are. This is, I think, one of the most difficult questions anybody will ever ask you in any language. Mm-hmm. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Fran, and I was born in Huesca. Huesca is north of Spain, just near the French border. Mm-hmm. Small town, actually, of less than 100 people.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's almost like a hamlet.
Yeah.
Una aldea.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Just a little town. Grew up there and also went to school to Huesca, then went to high school there in Huesca, to college there in Huesca too. I didn't have a real vocation.
Kind of born and raised, born and bred, as we say.
Absolutely, mm-hmm. Right there. Not a special vocation for languages. On the contrary, I was failing all the way from primary school to college. French.
So let's say languages weren't your forte.
Yeah.
To use some more French, ya que estamos.
Yeah.
Tu fuerte, your forte.
Exactly. I was taking French at school, but I was failing constantly.
Oh man.
It was not really my vocation. Actually, one of the teachers at college told me, Fran, don't get too excited. Just try to get rid of it. Try to get through.
Get through the course. Don't fail it. But languages are not your cup of tea.
That's it. That's not your cup of tea. That's the thingy. But I spent my last year of college, went to France as an Erasmus, as we say.
Yeah, as an exchange student.
Exactly.
Sure.
So basically, by doing radically the opposite of what I was doing at school, I just became myself a French teacher.
Oh,
just
wow.
Focusing on pronunciation, using the language, having someone to correct me on the spot.
Right.
Whatever it was.
You found that maybe the traditional methods that were being used weren't working, at least not on you.
It was not working at all. And so I just found that way. And then when I finished college and everything, and I had a opportunity to go to the United States.
Wow, what a great the chance of a lifetime.
Exactly. I had the chance to become a teacher. Mm-hmm. There, but I needed to go through an interview in English, and I didn't know in English.
Boy.
And I had
And you lied on your resume.
Absolutely, yes.
Como todos,
Do you
eh?
know how to speak English? Yes, I know. But just you certified? Yes, I know. But I still have 4 months to learn it.
Oh, to prepare. Well,
Yeah,
that's
to prepare
great.
it.
I mean, that almost gave you a goal. And
Oh
sometimes,
yeah, absolutely. But I had the previous experience of French, so I thought I know the method. I'm gonna
maybe
do
you
the
can
same.
apply what you
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So it took me even less than French from scratch to passing the interview. Go figure. My level there was not such a. But
fake
I
it till
passed
you
it.
make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fake it till you make it. You know, you're not going to tell people, listen, my English sucks, because you're not going to get the job.
Absolutely. But I went to the interview, I passed that, and then I went to the U.S. and I taught there from 25 to 28. I was teaching in
Great
Chicago.
time to live in the States,
yeah.
in Chicago.
From 2001 to 2004.
And what did you think? I mean, coming from not just Spain, but a small, not Madrid or Barcelona. What was that like?
It was a huge contrast. And keep in mind, back at 20 years back, it was so weird. Like somebody who was 25 going abroad in Spain there for a year, for a couple of years.
I was like an alien in Almeria coming from the States.
Absolutely.
In the 80s. And they were like, can I touch you? I'm like, yeah, all right.
An
no,
American.
not there.
What's up? So, but yes, it was an amazing learning experience.
Sure.
In just a few months, not only was I learning a lot of English, my English was
cultural
but the cultural
element,
and the
food,
enthusiasm, exactly, and
making
also,
friends,
exactly, and the way of life and the
customs, sayings,
also the personality of the American average people.
Sure.
That's so contagious and
that yes we can
the
attitude.
go-getter attitude.
You got to be gung-ho, a por ello, a por
exactly,
todas.
and everybody's encouraged into whatever you're doing.
Sure.
There's not so what I perceived right away. There was not so much envy as more admiration. There's so much admiration. Whatever you want to do, they just go, just go for it.
It's funny that you say that because when I moved to Spain
do you
many
think so?
moons ago,
Yeah.
my father said to me, Alberto, don't tell people how well or not you're doing because there's something in Spain called envy.
Absolutely.
And I said, really? And I didn't get it. And after
You
living
didn't
here a while, I said,
understand.
wait, because normally if your neighbor sees that you're doing well, they're like, awesome, my neighbor's kicking ass.
Yeah.
Lo está petando. He's my neighbor.
Yeah, they're proud of it.
Right.
You never know.
And I didn't get it at that time. And then I get it. Now we're generalizing. There are many people.
Oh, absolutely.
But I remember when students say, Alberto, I would say, I'm going to the French Alps or up to Andorra, where I would go through your area.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I'm going to go snowboarding for the weekend. And people say, how do you say que envidia in English? And I would say, we say have fun.
Yeah, have fun.
So that's our translation of it. Pásalo
It's
bien.
not natural to say
We wouldn't say
no.
So it's very interesting that it's
How prevalent it is.
And we're not talking about Asia versus the United States. We're talking about just across the pond.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a similar culture.
I mean, there's not too much.
Absolutely.
It's more homogenous than ever now.
Yeah,
But back then,
still,
it was a different thing. And let me ask you this. Would you attribute your accent, which is excellent, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Would you attribute it to that period?
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
really saying, I got to get not just the words, but the sounds.
I was focusing on that right from the start because it really paid off. Me mereció la pena. It really paid off when I was in France just to imitate at first the accent because it has an impact on the way you understand. So it has a double impact. If you focus on your pronunciation, you sound good, but you understand way better because it's just training your brain the same language that is actually spoken. So that it's really simple for your brain. And so it really paid off on my French, and it really paid off. And I thought it was the way to go. Right when I went to the U.S., I was totally focusing on my accent.
Yeah,
Actually,
you're like, listen, if it works, if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Absolutely, that's it. And guess what? When I was teaching little kid, fifth grade students, they were Mexicans, but born and raised in the U.S., so they were bilingual. With just little, they were not up to level and in their English.
Up to par, se puede decir
Up to
igual.
par. I was looking for it.
Igual, a la par.
Absolutely. So, but basically, their oral English was perfect.
Right.
So if
they weren't like, es pluscuamperfecto. They weren't concerned with the grammar.
No,
I see it
absolutely
with
not.
my daughter. My daughter, if I tried to tell her, estás hablando en pluscuamperfecto, she would look at me like, Daddy, what are you saying?
Oh yeah. They did, absolutely. You want to know the rules. Absolutely.
But does a native speaker, we
don't know.
We learn the language, then we learn the rules.
Absolutely, that's the way to go. That's the way to go.
And this was something you noticed from doing hands-on. Me encanta esta palabra. Manos en la mano. Experiencia práctica.
Yeah, those kids were totally bilingual. And every time I would say purple instead of purple, they would laugh.
Sure. Even, You're like, are you guys taking the piss? Me estáis tomando el pelo.
No, but I thought, oh man, what a way. Like a lot of my colleagues were pissed off,
Sure,
and I thought I saw like a great opportunity for me to learn. So every time I was saying like little nuances like second instead of second.
Yeah.
They go like, teacher, that's funny. What do you say?
Why did you say it like that?
No, it's second. Or no, it's nature. Or
so they were teaching. I mean, you were teaching them the theory and the grammar, but they were teaching you wait, but don't pronounce it like that.
Yeah, I was teaching them. I don't know, like the how to multiply, how to subtract. I guess I was teaching pretty much everything. Like, but I was learning from them big time.
Sure.
And so it was really a massive learning experience. And then basically on my teaching career, so to speak, I've just been replicating what I learned there. Because basically I remember everything. Like you're still learning Spanish and you remember pretty much everything that you learned. Yeah. And that's why you're so able
and what
to
worked
connect.
for me too, not just what I learned, but con música. I remember learning with Rafael songs. Well, why the hell do you think I use music when I teach?
And that's why you're so good, teaching on the spot, because you remember pretty much everything you learned. So it's simple and natural for you to teach. So it happens to me.
Sure. So you kind of fell into, para usar un phrasal verb.
That's a good one.
You fell into teaching.
Yes,
Era
absolutely.
algo como sin querer.
Yeah. Just came across it.
Wow.
Just like that.
And
it
now
was not my
us,
vocation.
I want to go more into the teaching and how you parlayed it into.
That's a good word, because I saw it before and I thought, man, let me take this down. Say, can you repeat that? Parlayed it.
So we're going to talk about teaching and how you parlayed that into a business.
Take that out. I love that one.
But first, I want to find out more about the person, because you sound like, I mean, I know you, but for our listeners, you're an adventurer. You're a guy who doesn't live in the comfort zone. No. You're always trying to push the envelope. Ir un paso más allá.
That's a good one. It's too bad I cannot take down things now, but otherwise I'll listen to it again.
Well, don't forget, guys, if you're a patron, you have access to all the vocabulary. You can get PDFs. You can get access to our bonus episode where Fran's going to give us top tips on how to start your own business and on how to learn some English. If you guys want to find out more, you can go over to patreon.com/Alberto Alonso. We've got a wonderful community of English explorers, and we meet once a week to review all the vocabulary. We have a monthly masterclass, and most of all, we have a great time. I'd like to send a shout out to all my patrons, especially my super duper students, Marta, Candy, Javier, Roberto, David, Jose Maria, Mila, Alex, and Edgar. And don't forget about my interstellar students, Lina, Isa, Carmen, Paco, and Diego. Keep up the good work, folks. And remember, if you want to find out more about how you can get bonus episodes, PDFs with all the vocabulary, and classes with me, go to patreon.com/Alberto Alonso. That's my spiel, mi charla.
That's awesome. You have to do it. That's great.
Y acabo enseñando una palabra, spiel.
So many people supporting you, and that's that's
well,
amazing.
the important thing is, Fran, they're learning. Learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're not gonna get away from the question that everybody hates.
Yeah.
Porque una cosa es, tell me about yourself. Well, I studied this. No. What are you like? Acordaos, what are you like? Personalidad. What do you look like? Físico. I know what he looks like. Yes. I'm looking at him. What are you like? What do you like as well? We were talking about music. You play instruments. Tell us about you, the person.
Yeah, but basically you say I love music. That's been one of my passions ever since I was a kid. Back in the early 80s on the radio was rock and roll everywhere, and it was. There was something attractive about that. Yeah. And every time to my little town, the musicians came once a year for
the local festival.
festivals, and I was mesmerized by
in awe.
Yeah, with the electric guitar. Because it was so much. There's an instrument that is related to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I was picking up on that. And
like, so this is not the Spanish guitar sound.
And I wanted to go for that. because it was on the radio and on TV. It was so cool.
Sure.
I was 6 or 7 back then, and my mom took me to music lessons when I
cool.
was 7. And they took me. I was going to take violin lessons, but they made me choose. Do you want violin or do you want guitar?
You're like electric violin.
And even though it was a Spanish guitar, I thought, that's more like it's similar to the electric guitar. So I picked that guitar and I started learning guitar when I was 7. Obviously, not the type of music and not the style of teaching that I would have liked now, but I got the ropes from there.
And so you play guitar, drums. I know you love drums. That's your passion.
I've been learning for the last 2 years. The thing is, I've been always trying to record at home recording, guitar, vocals, bass. But when it comes to drums, there was a wall. I couldn't.
So it became like a challenge.
And I thought, guess what? I'm not going to copy and paste loops or whatever. I'm gonna learn how to play it.
Right.
And a couple of years back, before the pandemic, just started learning, and now I'm focusing on that. Drums, guitar,
kicking butt.
And so music has always been my one of my passions, like yours too.
Sure.
And as far as my personality, it's always like you said, it's always trying to push myself harder and try to learn. I'm always learning, thinking out of the box and going out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
I was keep in mind back when I came back from the U.S. I got a job at a public school, at my plaza, as we say, as a civil servant.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Spot or
exactly.
a position.
That was full time, and I was also part time at college, Universidad de Zaragoza.
Okay.
And when I was 34, I quit pretty much everything, and I started my business, which was UTalk, along with my brother.
Well, this is perfect because this is where we're going now.
Exactly.
So you started teaching in foreign countries, then you started teaching over here, but you got involved with your brother.
Yeah.
And then you realize, wait a second, we got definitely an opportunity here online.
Absolutely.
So tell us about this whole thing, how you parlayed, the word we use. I don't know how to say that in Spanish.
Como lo
aprovechaste
aprovechar para, sí.
So how you parlayed your teaching experience, you're learning the do's and don'ts, what teachers, what mistakes were being made, and then how did you hook up with your brother to form that into the very successful business? Guys, we didn't tell you their social media yet, but it's very important. It's UTalk TV.
Yeah, you got it.
You got to follow them. UTalk TV. I'll put all the links in the show notes. Also, give them your personal Instagram.
Fran Monaj. You look me up, and then it's pretty much doing the same, just for personal branding purposes. But it's the same. It's just whatever we do on UTalk TV is I also replicate it on my personal account.
So how did you start this beast, this creature, this force of nature?
Thank you. The story goes back to 2010, or maybe 2009. I was, aside from teaching at school and teaching at college, I started teaching home just to learn how to, do it myself. And it was going wild, growing a lot home. And my brother came home, and he came to one of my classes, and I tested him. His level was really low in English, but I saw he had a really good level of pronunciation and good ear, so to speak. So I said, guess what? If you can demonstrate, if you can prove that you can learn English in a year, then we can start a business, you and I, and we can sell that we both learned from scratch.
Yeah.
Like obviously I went abroad, but it's a similar story.
Sure.
And then that can be a good reference for new students.
People will use us as an example.
Exactly.
Sure.
And he accepted the challenge. He did the masters at Vaughan.
Okay, great.
It was back in the day. I don't know if it's today the case, but it was 8 months.
Oh, it's hardcore.
In 8 months, it went from scratch to advanced level.
Wow.
He's never been abroad, and he has
great.
really amazing accent. And
he's the proof that you can learn if you put in the time and the effort.
Exactly. So that's what he did. He came here for a year, spent a lot of time, a lot of money, but he just wound up being
Well, we call it investing. Some people would say spending time. I call it investing.
And we started the business together. I quit my job, and I started with him and selling that story, which is true.
The
I
success
learned from
story.
scratch from 25. He started not from scratch. He was failing English constantly. We
Right.
took the masters at Vaughan. And by
Changed
the
it,
way,
sure.
he put a lot of effort.
You
And
have
just-
to,
just-
though. Anything worth anything takes effort and time. I
Exactly.
always say you can't take that out of any equation.
Exactly.
You know, you may love what you
Yeah.
do, but you got to put in the time and the effort. You can't take that part. The time, effort, the passion.
Yeah, you have to have the drive. You have to have the talent, so to speak, but time and effort.
You can't get anything without
comes
that.
with it.
You can't grow a garden. You can't do anything without
It comes with the territory. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you and your brother, which is amazing too, because you get to work together as a family.
Exactly. We started together, and right away in just the first year, we had a couple of hundred students. Just he and I. We didn't even have an assistant.
You're like, oh damn, what do we do?
Yeah. The year after,
We're in over our heads. Como
Yeah.
va la expresión?
Absolutely. And the year after that, we had 600 students, like 6-7 teachers. We were working with the Vaughan method back then, like buying the books and everything. And yes, we grew exponentially. Then a few years later, like in 2013, 14, we opened a school in Zaragoza. Then we started franchising the business, but it was really difficult to make it grow. Like
Okay.
in our city,
Sure.
it was booming, but outside of Westcott,
Sure,
it was
you never
really
know.
difficult.
Sure, it's
Lot
different
of-
demographic.
Yeah, lots
different
of things
competition.
that you can't control, and it's really, really difficult. And so we did everything in our hands to push the business. Like we did TV on Aragon TV, we did radio, we did like agreements with the movie theaters to play movies in English.
Sure.
English on like meetings on bars.
Not just promoting yourselves, but
Yeah.
promoting the language.
We
Yeah.
did pretty much everything.
Right.
And that's one of the keys also to entrepreneurship, which is whatever you do it to your best. Like
Right.
100%.
Right.
So whatever we did it like our life was in it, you know?
The expression is, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Exactly. You don't want to go
Half-ass.
Exactly. I was going to say, yeah.
Medio gas, half-ass. Medio culo, decimos.
Exactly. And so just relating to what you were saying about the online business, one of the things that we tried out of 100 things was focusing on our YouTube channel in 2016. And we started just doing everything by the book, 2 videos per week. Remember,
There's a formula.
Yeah, exactly.
They change it every 2 weeks, but there's a formula.
Exactly. But we just stuck to it, you know? 2 videos a week, same time, same day, answering all the comments.
Right.
Just focusing on the SEO techniques, titles.
These unwritten rules of sorts.
all that stuff. So for a couple of year and a half, we were working hard, and a few views here and there. But then
It wasn't
all of
that
a sudden,
fruitful, yeah.
No, not really. But after that, after a year and a half, one of the videos just boomed.
Oh, wow.
And it was boosted. It was promoted by YouTube.
Wow.
And then the channel grew
incredible.
overnight we had 50,000 students, subscribers.
Yeah,
and
sure,
all
sure.
those people were, okay, but you guys don't teach anything. I want your lessons. They were asking the audience.
Oh,
those
sure.
fans
They're like, if you guys
they
had
wanted more.
something, we would be interested in it.
Exactly.
Sure.
So what we did was basically do a premium course based on our teaching experience. And keep in mind, before we recorded this online course, Carlos and I, my brother and I, had taught over 20,000 hours.
Oh, wow. Sure.
In
You
between
need,
both and us.
You can't take that time out of that experience out of it.
Exactly. So what we did is all the books that we had for our schools, we had created beforehand. Based on those books, we pre-recorded our UTalk TV Plus, which is the
Gotcha.
paying course, and it has now over 500 hours.
That's great.
And it goes from beginners to advanced level, and the lessons are recorded, but it feels like it's a live lesson.
Gotcha.
Why? Because we've been teaching so much before.
Right.
That we know out of this sentence, I don't know, like the book is on the table. We know they're going to say the book is on the table.
Sure,
Say, okay,
sure.
you guys repeat, the book is on the table, repeat. Like it's a really interactive. It is so interactive that even though it's recorded, they're 40-minute lessons.
Yeah.
Minute lessons. Students perceive it's a live lesson.
Gotcha.
And it's cheap for them. And it's good for us because we have over 10,000 students
That's
enrolled.
great, dude.
So that's basically the way the whole thing went
It's
from
been hit or miss too. Like
Exactly.
as we say, todo. There have
Prueba
been
y error.
moments where like esto no da. Okay, but you didn't give up. You kept trying.
Exactly.
You're like, let's try this. But whatever you tried it 110%.
110%, exactly. And then without, too much analysis. There's a method on business, which is lean startup, which is the philosophy with that is starting a business, a project with a minimum
sí, muchas
resources.
gracias, lean.
Exactly. And then just go ahead, get it
You
out.
can always scale up.
Get it out, and then go, and then whatever changes you want to do is little by little, and with the feedback of the.
It's called growing organically too,
That's
obviously, and what's better than something that's organic? I've always believed in that organic
natural
growth,
thing,
exactly.
So
Okay,
basically.
So this is great. I mean, guys, we're not just learning English today, but we're learning some things on how to start your own business. Maybe not English teaching, but you can apply some of the things
whatever.
we're going to learn with Fran in the second part. You can apply them to any business.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to talk about this now. Some of the misconceptions, because now we're seeing a lot of people who are starting their own online business. We're seeing a lot of digital nomads. What are some of the misconceptions about working from home? You call it teletrabajo. We say working from home, starting your own business, being your own boss. What are some of the misconceptions?
Well, the
around this?
misconceptions is like people, like everybody thinks that it's simple, and then it's and then everybody can do it and all that, and it's a difficult job.
Well, if everybody could do it, why aren't they?
Yeah.
Question number one: where are they? Hello.
Yeah, everybody. If it were easy, then everybody would do it. But it's everything has to be in the long run. It is really difficult. It is a challenge. Also, you need to have a really strong vocation, and you need to try to be a number one on whatever you do. You need to compete on just one single thing. Like if you're teaching languages, you don't want to be, okay, yes, I'm going to teach French and English and then Spanish because, I know how to do this. No, you just need to focus on that.
You focus on one
you need to
thing.
be perceived by your audience like a total specialist on that.
Right,
and
gotcha.
you should be able to compete with Amazon or something in just a single thing.
You got to know your niche, your
niche, and
target.
Vertically. And that's something people don't just don't take into account before starting a business.
Well, you got to know your
think,
strengths, right? Your strengths, your weaknesses, a SWOT analysis, as they call it,
exactly,
as well.
And you need to have that special thing before you go ahead and start your own business, because it's just
that thing that makes you stand out, that makes you unique.
Exactly.
I know no matter what English class I give, even if you and I or Richard Vaughn and I give that same class, it's not going to be the same.
No. Everybody has this.
I know that
style,
my flavor, my thing is going to be different.
Exactly.
Why? Because it's my experiences, and I know that's something that somebody has to offer. The same way you know that, and you exploit it.
That's it. And
you exploit that.
Exactly.
So some of the misconceptions: it's easy, it's a piece of cake. It isn't.
Yeah.
Anything
it's not.
Anything's hard work. The key is making it look easy.
Yeah.
I always say Rafa Nadal makes it look easy.
Absolutely.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, it's not. There are people really good at something, people who really master whatever, like you see AC/DC Angus Young playing, it looks really easy. And actually like AC/DC music, it looks like a beginner's level, but making it sound naturally, it requires a super advanced level.
Sure.
And it looks simple, but it's not.
Absolutely.
And you have Highway to Hell, and it looks, whoa, what a simple song. But you see the bands playing there, cover bands, and they play like a rumba, It's
And
it's
that rhythm.
On paper, sobre el papel, on paper, it is simple, but it needs to be something natural. And for something to come out naturally, you need a lot of practice and a lot of talent and a lot of. So that's what people don't see beforehand.
All that iceberg, as we say, the part that's underwater.
Exactly.
Everybody sees the tip of the iceberg, but all that hard work, all those hours filming those courses, sure. And I always say it, I'm my strictest boss.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the one who's like, Alberto, you got to work this Sunday. Sorry,
you
guy.
You have to demand.
Sorry,
you have
buddy.
To be demanding, self-demanding. You're really self-demanding, because otherwise you're not gonna set an example. If you don't set an example, nobody's gonna follow you. And a good leader, as they say, then you need to
You
just
lead by example.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And,
Well, we're going to look at a lot of tips. We're going to look at so many interesting things. We'll look at some role models as well. And I want to look into this whole digital nomad thing, which is a whole new, it's something that didn't exist when I was a kid. And now it exists. You can literally live anywhere around the globe and run a successful business. Of course, putting in that time, that effort, it's not easy, as we said. But we're going to give you, or better, I should say this in other words, Fran is going to give you some tips, some do's and don'ts. Well, I'll offer my expertise as well, but we're going to hear some do's and don'ts, some tips. We'll look at some business idioms. And also, we haven't gotten any of your English tips yet, which we'll get those in the bonus part of today's FYI.